Hi, and welcome to this IFAA presentation on the concept of work groups. The first question that comes to mind is whether this approach is legitimate. As per the Constitution, it is within the power of the President to appoint special committees. You can read about this in Article 11 of the Constitution. What is the purpose of the work groups? The intent of this presentation is to provide you with an answer to this valid question. Is there a possibility that your association can be involved in the work groups? Yes. All member associations are welcome to suggest experts to different work groups or to nominate representatives to the work groups who will be directly involved and who can provide you with regular updates. The primary purpose of these work groups is to assist us with the legislative proposal process and the development of the proposals. Here is some background on the current process for legislative proposals. When we generate a legislative proposal, it comes from two sources. It could be from the executives or it could be from an IFAA member. The proposal needs to reach the Secretary within 120 days before the World Council meeting. The Secretary distributes the proposal to the executives. The Executive Council has 30 days to study and comment on the proposal. The Secretary distributes the proposal to all the IFAA members for review. That is about 90 days before the World Council meeting. The IFAA members then have a limited time of 30 days to review or amend the proposal if deemed necessary. These updated proposals are then sent back to the Secretary within 60 days of the World Council meeting. The Secretary then distributes all the proposals collected together with the agenda to the members of the World Council. The World Council consists of the executives and the members or delegates of the different member associations. At the World Council meeting, when the topic is tabled and discussed, the proposals will most likely be amended or changed, and then the voting process takes place. As you may have sensed, that process has its weaknesses. From our perspective, the most critical weakness is the limited involvement of the member associations. When you look at the timeline, you only have 30 days to review and provide input on the proposal, except later on at the World Council meeting. This time frame does not allow for any communication and other processes necessary within your own association. For example, you need to translate the proposal and distribute it to your members seeking their opinions and coming to a conclusion. This can be a time-consuming process and most likely not achievable within the 30 days given. If you manage to come up with an alternative proposal or suggestions to amend it, there is no review time because when it reaches the Secretary, it is compiled and distributed with the agenda to the World Council members. There is no process that allows for streamlining, for coordinating, or for sorting out questions, which will only be addressed when the topic is tabled at the World Council. The worst case is when differing opinions, misunderstandings, misinterpretations, or translation errors lead to lengthy discussions at the World Council meeting, which at times requires some discipline. In the past, we have experienced these issues at the World Council meetings, and the fear exists that with a virtual World Council, as agreed upon, this will be even worse. That is why we are looking for a process that both fits the constitutional requirements and also the virtual World Council concept. We believe that the workgroup concept can help. We establish workgroups that are involved from the beginning. Once an idea or a draft proposal is created, the executives and the IFAA members can consult the workgroups, seek their expertise and feedback, and update the proposal to be more meaningful. When this proposal is sent to the Secretary within 120 days of the World Council, the Secretary can then distribute it in parallel to the workgroup and the executives. They can then review it, exchange opinions, and provide feedback to the Secretary. The Secretary then distributes it to the IFAA members within 90 days of the World Council meeting. Let's not forget that the members have been involved with the workgroups because they have had the opportunity to nominate representatives to the workgroup. These representatives have been involved from the start in the reviewing process and can communicate with their committees and their members. The feedback that we receive from the workgroup is much more comprehensive than we could get from the delegates and the involvement from committees alone. This process allows us to get a lot of clarifications in place before the World Council. The quality of the proposals being tabled at the World Council meeting will be of a much higher standard. The remaining process of the World Council and the preparation remains the same. There is another aspect associated with the workgroups which you should be aware of. Workgroups could be a very meaningful tool in the day-to-day administration of the association. The general objective of this concept is to have workgroups independently observing development in their field of responsibility and expertise. With this, developments can be better monitored and our reaction time should be reduced by being informed at an early stage. Furthermore, our responses to developments will be more educated as we have the findings of the workgroup to base our decisions on. They can provide us with expertise on certain topics that are tabled, giving us help and assistance in the execution of our tasks within the Executive Council. Last but not least, the workgroups will be part of our feedback mechanism as they monitor the impact of decisions made, and with their connection to the membership, they will be a valuable component in our communication strategy. For example, workgroups can assist us when we receive an inquiry from a member association. There can be both an informal and an official process. The member could simply use their representative within the workgroup to pose a question and get an informal response from the workgroup. Or, the formal process can be followed where the member raises a request for clarification towards the Secretary. Once the formal inquiry has been received, the Secretary distributes it to the applicable workgroup and the executives. In the following step, both the workgroup and the executives will deal with the subject and exchange opinions with the goal to agree on an official position. The member is an active part of the debate via their representative in the workgroup. On the informal discussion within the workgroup, the representative returns to the member with the expressed opinion of the workgroup, whereas on the formal raised request for clarification, the Secretary will provide feedback on the official position. If legislative consequences arise therefrom, the executives will indicate whether the subject is considered a housekeeping item to be addressed with a simple update of the regulation concerned, or if an informal legislative proposal needs to be tabled by the member to the World Council. This whole process aligns with the legislative proposal process, as it can be done prior to the World Council meeting. The following is an overview of the workgroups and their objectives. We have two types of workgroups. The first deals with legislative items and represents the internal units of the IFAA. These units are the World Council, the Executive Council, and the auditors. The auditors are involved in financial topics. When we are looking at the workgroups that are in place now, we have the constitutional, the bylaws, the policies, and the technical workgroups. The technical workgroup is the previous technical committee, which has now increased in the number of persons involved. The other type of workgroup deals with the administrative assistance and consultancy to the World Council and the executives. We have the regional councils, consisting of all the chairmen and secretaries of the region. We have the administrative management that organizes conference calls and deals with administrative matters. The Web Page Management Group deals with the content of the IFAA website. The Pandemic Management Workgroup assists in preparing concepts to manage events under pandemic restriction conditions. The IT Workgroup helps us to select the right software and provides us with solutions that suit our communication concept. One workgroup focuses on women in the IFAA. They deal with issues related to creating equal opportunities within the association and encouraging more women to become active participants in all of the association's processes. We have a group that deals with public relation matters. They suggest concepts and approaches to the IFAA on how to communicate with different stakeholder groups that we have identified. We have two groups related to events. One group represents the organizers and hosts, and the other group assists the vice president in supervising the events. Our instructor forum is also represented in the Sport Education Workgroup. This workgroup not only deals with the training and education of instructors and coaches, but is also looking into the training of officers and other official representatives. We often need legal advice, and for this, we have a work group that deals with various legal topics. This work group approach allows us to be more flexible in inviting experts to provide their expertise and professional opinions. We will adopt a workspace solution to communicate within the work groups. To allow work groups to function effectively, we have an IT platform that provides the workgroups with a variety of tools. The most important ones are the online conference facility and the shared calendar for scheduling meetings and communications. We also have a shared cloud store that allows us to store documents and video clips from discussions to access individually. The members of the workgroup receive official IFAA accounts. They have email addresses that allow them to communicate and also access other workgroups if necessary. It is an IT support concept that is not only based on video conferencing, but also offers various options to communicate with each other and to organize ourselves. Thank you for listening to this briefing on the workgroup concept. Please share it with your fellow officers and feel free to make translations for a better communication. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are hoping for your strong support of this concept for the betterment of our association.